to another episode of Who Corner to Corner, Doctor Who fans' favourite podcast. I mean, I don't know if it is, but if it isn't, it should be.
If it is, that's lovely, thank you.
Yes, indeed. But yes, so I am Paul. For those of you who are new to the podcast, hi. I'm here with my good friend Geoff, who's probably on that side, but he could be on that side. I don't know. He does the editing. What side are you on, Geoff?
I'll be on the left as you're looking at the screen.
He's going to be on the left. So now he has to make sure he's on the left when he edits this. But anyway, enough of all that nonsense. Sorry. I just get carried away. You know what it's like. But the reason I'm carried away is because we are going to look today at one of my all-time favourite Doctor Who stories, whether it's the old series or the new series. We are going to be looking at It Takes You Away.
Yes.
For a little bit of weird Scandi noir kind of psychological, interdimensional crossing through mirrors and stuff like that. Wow, what do you think,
And
Jeff?
frogs. And frogs as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we're going to tackle the frog in the room, I suppose.
Yes.
So
yeah.
let's see what we think about this. So what we're going to do here, this is going to be an interactive episode, so we are going to do our very best to provide a commentary as we watch the episode. So
yes,
it's not a review as such. We haven't watched it for a while, so we're going to be watching it live, commentating. So please, if you want to join us in this, do please load up the episode, rack it up, and press play when Geoff does the countdown. We'll do our play buttons at the same time.
So if you haven't got your chosen method of viewing ready, pause the episode now, and then when you're ready, come back, unpause it, and I'm going to give a countdown from 3 to 1, and 1 is the cue to push play on. Okay, here we go. Let's hope, by the way, that I don't get any problems when I hit play at my end.
Don't even say that. Don't even say it. Don't jinx it. Just go for it. Come on, let's go.
3, 2, 1.
I still love that opening. I love it. Do you know what? It just reminds me of the Hartnell years, but like dialed up to the max, because it's that, you know, the way the kind of swoosh kind of fills the screen.
Yeah, I love the I like this bit, but when we go into the sort of star field, it's quite a dizzying.
It's quite intense then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You imagine seeing this on a big screen? Imagine seeing this on IMAX.
Yeah, right.
I'd be like, sickness. So this is Ed Heim, isn't it? Now, I understand. I mean, Chris told us when we interviewed him, Chris Chibnall, that is, you know, showrunner of the time, that this is one of the first ones they filmed, wasn't it? It was quite early in the run.
Yeah.
It's like it's the first block episode, I believe.
It was. I can't remember what the other one they did alongside it was.
I think it was the first one, wasn't it? The Woman Who Fell to Earth, was it?
Yes, it was. It was Woman Who Fell to Earth and this one.
Yeah. So Jodie's quite new to this, isn't she? Sorry, I was.
Well, they all are. Yeah.
Go on. What are you saying?
It feels like there's more. The Woolly Rebellion. There's more stories to be told.
Just waiting for that moment.
Yeah.
The Woolly Rebellion. Utter bloodbath. See, the thing is, whenever I look at Norway, I can't help but think of Slarty Bartfast, who, as everybody knows, was the person responsible for designing all the crinkly bits around the edge of Norway's coastline.
Slarty Fartfast?
Slarty Bartfast. No? Some will get it, some won't. If you do, welcome to my little club. If you don't, get over
welcome to my club.
Get over the gate. Anyway, we digress. So here we've got the fam, haven't we? The fam who, by this point in Series 11, are all kind of settled in. They sort of understand each other, or you know, they found their ground. Obviously, you know, the human part of the fam, Yaz, Ryan, and Graham. Well, Ryan and Graham certainly knew each other anyway, because they are sort of related.
Yeah.
And Yaz is a friend of Ryan's, and they've had a few adventures. Who's this? That's a creepy shot, isn't it?
Yeah, and then the hand comes up.
Yeah.
I like, well, like you, I love this episode, and
it's like Cottage in the Woods sort of style.
Yeah, it is a little bit. Tropes. Yeah, and I think they've, you know, wherever they film this in Wales, it feels like, you know, Scandinavian area, the woods, and you know that lake. I don't know whether that lake in the distance of the opening tree shots is added in or what. Because there's some scenes by it later, but this whole visual here is sort of in a cabin in the woods, Evil Dead type of stuff. You know, it's really kind of playing on that kind of visual motif,
and it's kind of noirish as well. You know, the grading's been, you know, the color saturation has been pulled down a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, it's got that kind of a creepy, cloudy sort of feel to it.
Like these bits here, like it's quite dark, even though there's a lot of light coming in, but it's all behind them.
Yeah.
So everyone's still kind of cast into shadow. Yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty good, and you know, and the camera angle as well is we're watching these people. We're somebody.
Yes.
We know there's somebody in the house. We saw the hand over the little window, but they don't know there's somebody in there.
No.
They suspect there might be. And it's that thing of just taking a few minutes to kind of look around and really set the scene and pull us in as viewers into this place. We've got some nice shapes there as well. We've got a repeating of that triangle.
The triangle. You saw that on the window on the door.
He says that, and then out comes a circle. But
ignore that. Yeah.
But there's a lot of that's a jump scare and a half, isn't it? Oh, it's okay.
He's found something, but we still don't know what it is yet.
So, as Doctor Who, regular Doctor Who watchers, we're kind of expecting some grisly tentacle
something
monster
horrible,
to jump out, grab him by the face, and slam him into the ground or something. Is this the first appearance of Graham's cheese and pickle sandwiches? No, we've had it before, haven't we?
Well, he's always hungry, so he always has to carry one. Is it in Rosa when he's saying he wants a sandwich? Yeah.
And then it comes back down here. So this is
always
Hannah,
come
isn't it?
Look at this lighting on it. It's so this whole bit, like, it starts out quite light and fun. Woolly rebellion, eating the dirt, blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. Yep, and then it's straight into something quite unsettling and creepy. Yeah. Look at all the, like Jodie there. It's only her face popping out.
That's right.
Shadow. It's so
and it's quite a brave
shot.
thing as well to hide your talent's eyes in the shadow bit. Do you know what I mean? You don't often get that. You know, we want the full glow, we want soft focus, we want everything looking beautiful and radiant.
Like the Yaz has disappeared then. You can see Haynes' face, but she's still lit, in shadow there.
And there's a thing. And and Hannah's face as well, the fact she's wearing a scarf and sunglasses and a hoodie and everything else, it's like, either she's kind of protecting herself, wrapping herself up in all these clothing in some sort of psychological protection, or actually she's trying to be invisible so she's not seen. Do you know what I mean? It's we don't quite know what's going on with this girl yet, who she is, where she comes from, why she's there.
And now we find her, one of the secrets.
Yeah, help me find my dad. I mean, that, watching this as a parent, that's quite chilling, isn't it, in a way? So you've had this girl who's been on her own for whatever reason, we don't know. How long, we don't know. But her dad's disappeared.
Yeah.
And her dad would never just leave her, as she says. Well, how long's he been gone? 4 days. Crikey, if I left my kids alone for 4 days, mate, they'd have eaten the house.
Well, literally the house.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. They kind of like, when if you leave a dog in for too long in a room and it just gets stir crazy and starts eating the walls, pretty sure my kids would do that.
So what you're saying is your children are small, furry and four-legged.
They're quite feral, especially on the weekend.
Well, I have feral Freya.
There you go, exactly, yeah.
I also just want to say Yaz's space buns are here as well.
Of
that's
course, yes.
One of her best looks. Iconic. She looks so cool. Look how sort of Mandip is so good. She's so sensitive here. Ryan's been a little bit heavy-handed here, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He's not. I mean, of course, Yaz she's undergone some sort of police training in compassion and whatever it's called when they drop the bad news on people.
Bad news
she's had
dropping.
A bit of that. Bad news dropping. And of course, we saw from Yaz in the very first episode, the woman who fell to earth, that she was able to defuse the situation. She's got that thing in the street, actually, where people are smashing each other's windscreens because they've had a bit of a Barney of their cars and parking and stuff, and she immediately goes in and just sorts it out. Which I quite like. She's that sort of person. She gets at the heart of it. She tries her best to sort it out. Sometimes she can do it, other times she can't.
Sometimes not.
But here there's a bit more of a mystery, isn't there? So she can't quite solve it until we know what the mystery is. And I guess it's really, where's Hannah's dad? Why is he gone? Why has he disappeared for 4 days? I think really by this point as well, because we're in a very dark place, we're kind of suspecting that her dad is dead.
Yeah.
If this was a kind of a Scandi noir, non-sci-fi, non-fantasy type thriller, there'd be some kind of, something like that probably going on. And that's what it's kind of playing on here, I think.
It
it's
is,
those
isn't it? Yeah.
kind of expectations that we've got from being quite familiar with all of those, those kind of tropes. I mean, even this, sort of gamekeeper's shed with dead birds hanging for food and what have you. Everything's there that points to something that we know killer in the woods, whether it's a human monster or some sort of supernatural monster, it kind of doesn't matter. There's something here that is threatening the people in this house and has possibly killed this girl's dad. So good job that the Doctor and co have arrived when they do.
And also, with the house being boarded up like that, you could also look at it like, she's been made a prisoner, and
exactly.
that really horrible sort of thing of, people being kept in basements and stuff.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
There's that, and the dad's gone, but here you go, it's coming.
Yeah, which again, that thing of prisoners and kidnapping is not unusual for Scandi noir.
No,
that sort of thriller fiction. It's really, really playing on those tropes quite massively. And there's sort of a bit of handheld camera as well, just to kind of keep us in a sense of unease.
Yeah.
And we're getting a thing in the woods. Lock the doors, secure the house, everything. Block the back door. So again, we're racing through this, aren't we? Because it's only, a 50-minute episode or something. So it's really
so
racing
belts
through
along,
stuff.
doesn't it? Yeah.
It does. And yet it takes time as well. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's what I like about, these Doctor Who stories. When they get it right, they'll race through, but they'll slow down just at the right
little
sort of
character moments.
And those are important.
It takes you away.
Because without those character moments, we don't really feel the stakes.
No,
I think.
Exactly. This script is by Ed Heim, isn't it? And he did Orphan 55, which...
Oh, we did another commentary on that.
Controversially, is one of our favourite episodes.
It is. That's nothing controversial, mate. It's we like it.
Well,
end of.
if that's true.
It's not controversial to me. It might be controversial to someone else, but I don't care.
Not to us. And you're right. We did do a commentary episode on that as well, and it was really nice having messages from a couple of people who say they didn't like that episode on first viewing, but they rewatched it with our commentary, and it kind of changed their opinion on it slightly, which was really nice. But when the sort of reveal it occurs in this episode, it's very much an Ed Heim kind of trait, like you get in Orphan 55 as well, where things are not quite what they seem. And
exactly,
same here.
There are layers. So now we've got reflections, haven't we? So we got, again, there was no reflection in the mirror. Why can't I see myself? That's a weird thing. No two ways about that. So again, our unease is kind of peaked, if you like.
Yeah.
Or poked.
So something is starting to... Yeah,
she's off again.
It's gone.
I mean, because this is kind of Doctor Who territory, it's not quite so unusual in some respects. It's like, that's a good thing. That's a Doctor Who thing rather than a Scandi noir thing. But now we're starting to see the fantasy sort of come through, aren't we? The Doctor Who-ness of it, if you like. And of course, what's the Doctor going to do? She's going to put a face through it. Because why not?
Yeah.
We're either all in or we're not. That's the end of it. And that's a great effect as well.
Yeah.
Because you really feel like there's a pressure there, that there's a membrane
absolutely.
or surface or something.
She's having to force her way through there.
Yeah. I'm okay. Bit of a head wonk. I mean, that could have come out wrong, couldn't it? Really?
Yeah.
This, I think, is a really good episode for Jodie, and we're starting to see bits of it here. That thing about the 13th Doctor just firing off in all sorts of directions. Sorry, might have to edit out my throat clearing. Doorway to another world. I mean, I love things in Doctor Who when those things drop in.
Yeah.
Because the story's about to open up. You don't know how or where, but there's something going to be beyond that door.
Something small. So we've got quite a few things building up already. The girl in the house on her own. The house is in the middle of nowhere. It's boarded up. There's a monster somewhere, and there's a strange mirror portal in the house in the middle of Scandinavia.
And we don't know what's through there. But now, of course, it makes sense to believe that her dad has possibly gone through there, or that a monster has come through it from another portal. Maybe there's another portal in the woods. I do remember watching this the first time round, really kind of spellbound by it, just thinking through all the different possibilities.
Yeah.
And I think the script kind of invites you to do that as well. It sets a lot of stuff up, and then piece by piece, without you even realising it, it kind of just throws a few of those things away. It sort of dresses them one by one, and then they're gone, and it sort of narrows down to this point, which is where we get to at the end. Now this
assume
is
her
dark.
dad is dead.
Now this is a little bit of psychological manipulation here, and sort of playing on the blind girl. She can't see, so we're going to write something up here. It's quite a dark moment for the show, but we know that the Doctor isn't the best at kind of social ethics or compassion and stuff like that. They try to get it, but they don't. And I think as Chris told us, doesn't it? The Doctor wants to be everybody's best friend, but doesn't get it right most of the time. And I think that was a bit of...
people have talked about that moment before, but it doesn't bother me because I think it's an obvious thought that the dad is not around, or he's been taken into the portal there and something's happened, or the monster's got him or whatever. And you could say yes, it's psychological manipulation.
Well, it is. You're also taking advantage of somebody's disability as well, aren't you? She's blind, she can't see it, so let's write something on the wall.
Yeah.
So it's ill judged from the Doctor's perspective, but I think it's within the Doctor's character actually to do that, because they just don't even think of the ethics of it all the time.
Yes, and you could also say from a very boring script point of view, to add the time for the Doctor to say to Hannah, wait there, we're going downstairs for a minute, walk downstairs, right, assume the dad is dead, and then go back up. We can't fit that in.
Yeah. Now this is nice. I like it. It's ribbons.
Ribbons, that's it, yeah, ribbons.
He's a good character. This is like Doctor Who monster territory.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this is like another monster to kind of add to the gallery of monsters.
Yeah. I like this other realm thing here. And it's sort of, again, it's quite horror as well. It's sort of reminding me a bit of the Descent or something, with the pale creature things, humanoids living underground.
But
now,
go on.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I was just going to say about what Chris told us about this episode.
Yes, yeah.
So in these sections here, there was another monster, wasn't there? Which I believe was called the Spindle Man.
Spindle Man, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of looked freaky though, didn't it?
It did. It was quite tall, had a sort of really long face, and was a big part of this sequence. But Chris admitted that they just didn't look great. The intention was there, and when they saw the footage, it just for some reason just didn't come together on screen. So they had to remove it from the episode. So they ended up leaning more into the moth stuff that we see shortly, which is still quite creepy. People hate bugs, don't they?
I've got a thing on moths. I'm
really
not good with moths. Yeah,
right.
Honestly, I have a proper phobia with moths.
Do you?
So I do struggle with this, and I'm not looking forward to it now. Even thinking about it, it's getting chills. Like some people are really afraid of spiders or snakes, and there's no reason for it. The moths can't hurt you. But of course, in this one, they do. They literally kill you, man.
Yeah.
So this is not great for someone with a moth phobia, whatever that's called. I don't know. Is there a word for a moth phobia? There must be.
Mothphobia? I'm going to look it up quickly.
Mothophobic. I'm mothophobic. But the thing about this as well, right? I mean, I can't remember what this is called, but again, this is another sort of Scandinavian kind of fairy tale sort of. Go on.
So, of course, the term for mothphobia is not mothobia. It is lepidopterophobia. Lepidopterophobia. Of course it is. There you go. That's what you've got.
As well, doesn't it? I don't know, because I'm not frightened of butterflies. So a lepidopterist is someone who collects butterflies, isn't it? So
is it really?
Sense.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, so,
you're right, you smart arse.
I know shit, man. You don't, clearly.
So, in this bit, I think the removal of the Spindle Man, you don't notice that something's missing. I think it's been covered really well.
Yeah, you wouldn't know. I mean, I had no idea, to be honest, until Chris said. I mean, apparently it's been out there in the internet land for quite some time that they had to get rid of a monster, and I think you knew about it, didn't you?
I did. I had seen something about it. Yeah.
Yeah. I had no idea, and I never would have done if not for that. Now this is quite nice as well. So Ryan and Hannah are kind of getting together. They don't get on at all, do they? Which I like. I like the fact they really don't. She really doesn't like him. And Ryan doesn't have the sort of emotional capacity to kind of deal with this sort of preteen kind of girl. He's just not in that place. He's got no patience.
And he's trying to keep her safe, but he's doing it, really kind of poorly.
And it's probably doing everything that Yaz in her training has been told you don't do when handling kids, you know. But he's just shoving it around from place to place. Just back on this thing here, since we're back in this interzone place or whatever it's called, I can't remember, but I'll call it the interzone because that works for me. This is again, you know, when you look at sort of again tales of fantasy and fairy tale and folklore, particularly from that part of the world again, right? Because I'm sick of saying Scandi, but you know what I mean, right? It's you know, it's this whole thing again of monsters in the woods. You know, the things that come from, you know, the goblins and the trolls of Norse mythology and all that sort of stuff. This is right here. This is the world that the denizens of that entire class of literary fiction inhabit. And Ribbons can step into and out of that. And these moths as well.
Yeah, look
all
at the
of that
size
belongs quite nicely in there as much as it does in Doctor Who. So this is an episode that is really pulling, and I'm not even looking at the moths, right? I know they're there. I'm not going to look at them. But, you know, it's pulling from all of that stuff. And you know, I love all that. I love it when Doctor Who branches out and, you know, like it did with the Philip Hinchcliffe stuff, it reaches into Gothic, into Hammer horror, into those kind of, you know, the Universal horror, the Universal Pictures horror movies and stuff as well. And it's doing the same kind of thing here, but with that whole sort of Scandinavian fantasy, folklore, fairy tale fiction.
And I just thought, the big red balloon light things is reminding me a little bit of It, you know, with the clown and the balloon and stuff there. I wonder if that was an intentional kind of
that's
reference.
A good point. Yeah, that whole scary balloon on a string kind of thing going on.
So look, Ryan's found something here.
Speaker.
There's our reveal. Are you kidding me? He says.
You're kidding me. Pulls it out, and then the monster roaring stops. So now we know something. Something is not right. In some ways, it would be kind of better if it was the monster, if it was a real monster. But because we know it's all been set up, now you're thinking, what the hell is going on? Yeah, you know. So by this point now, I'm totally hooked.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember, like, the first time I watched this, I was like, "Oh my god!" You know, you expecting one thing, and then you discover something else with the mirror dimension, and then you discover that actually the monster's not real and it's all been set up. So that opens up a whole load of new questions: who's done this? Why? You know, what for?
It's a good way of kind of you know, answering a mystery point, only to open up another one. That goes even, you know, that pulls you in even deeper. And this is what I like, you know, it's what I like about this series, because, you know, the construction of these stories is narratively layered. There's a lot of depth. And I think, you know, I watched this maybe 3 or even 4 times before I really saw what I thought was all the layers that there is to see. I certainly didn't get it on first watch, you know, I kind of got an impression of things and obviously the sense of the story. But it took a few goes to really peel it apart. And, you know, when you do that, something can happen. You know, one or two things can happen. Either you see more of the story, or you realise there was nothing there. You know, and I think this is one of those stories where actually you see, the more you peel it away, the more you see. You realise there's more down deeper if you want to go that far. You know, if you want to journey down that well. Yeah,
it is. It's a really layered story, and there's a lot going on. Anti-zone, that's it. Yeah. Also, the lighting here is really nice as well, with the blue and on the walls and the red on there.
It's really creepy blood red as well. It's not a comedy red. It's not a fun colour. This is a dark
this
colour.
is scary.
This is the colour of human blood, and, you know, all the things that kind of make us creep out a little bit. You know, that's not a vivid scarlet. That's a dark blood red.
Now the lamp. The balloon has gone out.
Yeah, these moths come in there, don't they?
So I wonder how the Spindle Man would have fitted into this. Maybe it was stalking them or something, or
in the dark when it gets really dark.
If you Google for the Spindle Man, you'll find probably a picture of Jodie and Mandip and the Ribbons actor behind the scenes with him, and they're all smiling, and he's kind of all creepy. It's quite funny, but it's got a face like
you could flash it up in the middle of this episode, mate.
Oh yeah, I could do actually. Yeah, I'll do that. Don't Google it. I'll put it in it.
Yeah, forget what
it's got a face like
we're professionals,
like a microscopic insect or something. You know.
Again, it's kind of weird, and it's hard to see why it wouldn't work in a way. But clearly it didn't. You know,
maybe if you kept it in the shadows enough, it could have worked. But yeah,
you say
maybe
that. But then there is, and this might have been what steered it actually. The magma beast from Caves of Androzani. So, you know, I mean, it's a great story. You need to watch that. There's no two ways about it. But, you know, Graham Harper, the director, goes to a lot of lengths to try and make this thing as gritty and real as he possibly can. And then the costume department turned up with this magma beast, which is just a guy in a really ropey dragon costume, and it just does not. And they turn the lights down on everything, but it's like they got to use it, and it just looks awful. You know, it just throws. It doesn't quite throw the story. The story's good enough to hold it, but clearly they didn't want that happening here. So now Hannah's gone through the mirror, hasn't she?
Now there's quite a nice.
She's in the interzone.
Oh yeah.
And of course, she can't see at all, which is probably not a bad thing here, to be honest.
Well, in some ways, she has to hide everything, but
she can't see the terrors that are watching.
No, and she's got more chance of getting lost. And also, I was just thinking they have that string bit there. The string is there again, which is a little bit going back to fairy tale stuff like Hansel and Gretel, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, and the breadcrumbs.
Yeah, absolutely, and even, you know, the story of the Minotaur in the labyrinth, isn't it?
Yeah. So
now so the Doctor's in the other universe now, isn't she?
Yes.
The mirror universe. So how long did it take you to realise that her hair's all flicked over the other side?
Not too long, because generally I think I'm quite good at visual observations on stuff like that.
Yeah, I didn't quite. I noticed it on his T-shirt, on Dad's T-shirt.
Yeah.
Eric. How can this be your house, Eric? Yeah, because it sort of looks back to front. But again, I'd sort of look at it closely because I wasn't quite sure. And the story, you know, because actually that's not the big deal here, really. The big deal here is what's going on. You know what I mean? Why is he here and not back in the house?
But not back there,
because he looks fine, doesn't he? The Doctor might come through here thinking that she's going to find someone who's tied up or, you know, who's ready to be eaten by some giant, scary monster.
And he's just making tea.
Yeah, he's just just putting the kettle on, you know. And he did all that, you know. And she's right; it's a shocking bit of parenting. So again, we got something going on here.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if it's a commentary on, you know, a certain sort of the whole idea of abandoning your child. Whilst as a parent you go out and do your own thing, you know, which again is quite dark. If you're going to go down that route, there's some pretty nasty places that you can go to. But Doctor Who isn't really quite that sort of show, you know.
Well, no, that I think, you know, with Who, its primary objective is adventure and monsters and all of that, and having massive in-depth commentary on stuff it's not really the show for that, is it? You know?
No, that's it. It can face those things, it can weave them into a story, but it'll usually only go to a certain level, I think. Can You Hear Me, you know, which looked at you know, Yaz running away and all the dark thoughts that was going on through her mind there. I mean, that took it to a really dark place.
Yes.
But again, it was only so far. I think it took us quite far into it, but you know, didn't explore that quite the way that it would have done if it was like a big series thriller show or
exactly.
or,
and that's not a bad thing, you know. It's good that you can tackle stuff like this and dress it up with sci-fi, but I think it has a you know, mission objective to keep the adventure side of things at the forefront,
keep it entertaining, and you know, watchable for sort of kids.
But going back to what you were saying, you know, the dad here, he's abandoned Hannah and, you know, boarded her up in the house to keep her safe, but he's chasing, he's putting himself first there by going after the mirror mum, getting mirror married.
Exactly, yeah, that's
now
it.
this bit, isn't it, is a pretty
this was a creep. It kind of chills up the spine moment as we saw Grace again. And this is obviously why it was first block, wasn't it? Because we got Grace in it as well.
Yeah.
So she would have done The Woman Who Fell to Earth and this.
And then this,
obviously. And this is a moment, isn't it?
He's really good here, Bradley.
He's brilliant. He's really, really good.
And it's quite subtle, but Grace is wearing a frog necklace, isn't she? Here,
she is. Yeah, we don't see it particularly there. I think it's sort of blinking, you miss it.
But it is there, and the solid track taking the form of a frog.
You haven't done that yet. Hold on. We're back in the interzone, aren't we?
Yeah. I thought it was going to be River. Or Susan. Or the Rani.
But that's part of Doctor Who, though, isn't it? You know, when because there's so many people that it could be. You know, when you just see a half-figure reveal or something, who's it going to be? You know, but of course it makes absolute perfect sense. It's going to be Grace. That's the story. Right?
Well, yeah. Now, she's taken hold of Ryan there.
So you're talking about Hannah now, yeah?
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
So we're back in the interzone.
It's almost, they're sort of forced together in a way,
kind
but
of bonding now, aren't they?
The relationship's changing a little. Well, there you go. I'm sorry for slamming the door.
Yeah, there's apologies kind of flying backwards and forwards between them. Ryan just tells it like it is.
Yeah.
Should have just got Wi-Fi. That's such a cheap joke in a way, isn't it? You know. But it's so in character for Ryan. He just just doesn't think about these things. Just comes out with it. You know. And then we're back with Graham and Grace. Is it the real Grace? Of course, again, as we're watching this, we're thinking that's not the real Grace.
Yeah.
You know, we've been here before with certain things.
Well, I suppose we're not quite sure. Is it another version of her, or is it a construct or
something?
Yeah, we don't quite know.
I mean, she seems to know what Grace knows.
Yeah,
she's responding to Graham in the right sort of way.
Yeah,
and he can tell her. He can have the conversation with her.
Oh, sorry, he has it, not her.
Yeah, he's got the necklace.
But it was hers.
She knows where it comes from. 2 Christmases ago, you gave it to me. Same year, Ryan got me a different frog necklace. Because I like frogs. It's got a thing on frogs. She likes frogs. I don't mind frogs. I've got nothing against the frogs in the same way that I have something against moths.
Is there a frog phobia? Let me look it up.
Yeah, it's probably some froggy phobia thing.
Frog phobia.
The emotional context here, I mean, the impact on Graham is massive. He hasn't quite...
Ranidophobia.
Is it? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Right, hold on. I'm going to go deep here, right? Graham hasn't quite got used to not being with Grace. You know, he's been to a funeral. He's sort of dealt with it in, was it Arachnids in the UK?
Yeah.
And he's trying to move on. You know, that was his point for really facing up to it. And he's got to a certain point now where, you know, it's still there, but he can live with it. And then suddenly she comes back in, and all of that is kind of reset.
Yeah.
You know, how do you do and you said Brad is really good in there, and he is totally. It's there in his face and his delivery. It's just the confusion, the raw, honest emotion. This is the Jodie moment, I think. You know, this is where we really get a good feel for who her doctor is and how she kind of zips around the place, how she burns from one moment to another, just a continual firing moments of now, you know, this kind of verbal diarrhea almost, that sort of coming out, this technical stuff, she's working out, she's expressing it, and as an actor, wow, you know,
she makes it effortless.
Yeah, exactly. You know, as you know, that you're going at Doctor Who or Star Trek or whatever it's going to be, you're going to have to deal with some particular sort of language, you know.
Yep.
And this is full on, right? Because
Yaz is
just sort of taking it in a stride, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's just kind of trying to figure it through. But she knows the Doctor by now, doesn't she? She knows this is kind of how she is. But Granny 5. This is just throwing this stuff out there. It's just so magpie-ish. You know, it's like literally like the verbal equivalent of going through a drawer and, you know, figuring out what's in there and then finding something and go, yeah, and there's that. You know what I mean? Brilliant. And of course, so this ties into a Time Lord fairy tale, right? So we still kept that fairy tale thread going throughout. So it's not just, you know, what we're seeing around us. It's something in the Doctor's past. You know, she knows of this Solitrack thing.
That book, Time Lord Fairy Tales.
Right.
They should redo that with a Solitrack story in it.
Ah, good plan. Yes, I like that. You can write that story, Jeff.
Okay, I will.
Your gran told you this is a bedtime story.
Yeah,
I told you I had trouble sleeping. So again, that's the Doctor. Can't resist putting a little joke in there, even if the Doctor doesn't necessarily think it's a joke.
Yeah.
You know, as a writer, you know, Ed knows it's a joke. He can't resist really, but it just absolutely works. And suddenly everything makes sense. The Doctor says. So we've got to take. So again, I had to watch this a couple of times just kind of get the whole Solitrack threat. I think I understood it. You know, just me being a little bit dim on the first time round, you know, you kind of get it. So You've got to take the Solitrax out of the universe because the universe can't function with the Solitrax inside it. It has to remain other. You know, it has to always be on the other side of the window, like, you know, like the things that we can't let into our house. If you imagine that, you know, from a sort of metaphysical point of view, right? The other, the outside, the unknown, you can't let that into your space because it just disrupts and destroys everything.
Which is, again, is it's a very horror thing, isn't it? That fear of the other, whether it's, you know, Michael Myers or Ghostface or whatever, the alien, you know, it's keeping them out.
Even Dracula, the vampires, you know, all of those, that long lineage of monsters.
Yeah.
You know, and it's gone here from being something that we think is real to something which is more abstract, you know, a universe that kind of embodies that whole thing. I mean, that's... You met Rosa Parks? You? It's great.
It's a big concept, isn't it? You know,
it's a huge concept, yeah.
And obviously we'll get to it, but the Doctor is once again prepared to sacrifice, you know, their life for, you know, everybody else's, you know.
But just think about this moment here with Graham and Grace. You know, what is he actually going through right now?
Yeah.
You know, and now it's almost like he has to accept it, that she's here again. And then the Doctor barges in, right? Totally not reading the situation.
No.
Which is brilliant. She says, I'm sorry to be blunt, no offence, but actually she's as blunt and offensive as she can possibly be. It kind of reminds me in a lot of ways like the 11th Doctor in The Lodger, which was kind of played for laughs. You know, the Doctor's inability to really be the social, you know, kind of comfort. You know, he just gets it all wrong, kissing people on the cheek and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And this is the same Doctor right here, but, you know, she's barged in on a very intimate moment, which is a big deal for Graham. And you can see on his face, he's like, what are you talking about?
He's torn, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, he really is. But again, it's that instance of the Doctor just not reading things, just, you know, just going in single-minded, bang, 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 bang. Whereas the monster itself, quotation fingers, is adapting.
Yeah.
I love this. Reversing the polarity. Good old Doctor Who trope. That's gone right through the years. Back in the interzone with
You speak my language.
Being chased by a bunch of moths. Giant blooming moths that kill you and eat you down to bone.
I'd forgotten how big they were. Look how many there are.
Yeah, shush. Don't need to talk about that. We can move on from the moths. So this is natural, isn't it, for Graham to want Grace to come with him. He doesn't care that if she's real or she isn't. As far as he's concerned, she is. And he wants her to come with him. Because why not? Why wouldn't you want that, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You know, the thing that he's missing, he's found it again. And you know, you've seen things like that in other, you know, film and TV before, but you know it's not the actual one, but does that matter, you know?
And I like as well, you know, it's played for real. It's not played for laughs.
Yeah.
You know, you're not trivializing something which is really quite fundamental to, you know, to all of us. You know, it's played seriously. It's played truthfully. There's an authenticity to it. You know, that goes right through. So this is Hannah's mum, Trina, isn't it? But she knows she can't see. She can just, you know, by touch, smell, feel, all the other senses tell her. She's not her mum. So she doesn't have that cognitive bias that others would see if they got their sight.
Yeah. And
that's the thing, isn't it? Because Graham sees Grace, you know, and that makes up a huge part of who she is to him right there. It's 80% of why she feels real to him. You know, so the extra 20% can just be made up very quickly. I know where that necklace came from. I know you got me that, and Ryan got me that. You know, but that's probably the top level stuff, really. It's nothing deep on that, but Hannah knows this is not her mum. So it just makes you wonder how much do your eyes lie to you? You know, this whole thing of cognitive dissonance and bias and stuff, you know. Hold my hand. We're going on a journey. So this is where this Doctor steps in, isn't it? I'm aware, Geoff, that we need to offer commentary, which means we've got to talk rather than watch this thing. Yeah, so we always do that, don't we? I'm listening. It gets to a point where we're watching this and then we just get into the story. Yeah. And especially
taking forms that we won't reject. Yeah.
Well, this is the conflict now, isn't it? You know, this is as much as you might know that Grace isn't real or that Trina's not really her, it's like you still want to believe it. You still, Graham is still hanging on to the thinnest of threads, the hope that this might actually be his Grace, and that they can live. And someone who's kind of just getting over, just working through that journey of grief. Why would you not want that?
And the same for the dad,
Yeah, because he's lost his wife.
Yeah.
So this is a universe that is using human emotions that are real and grounded
to give itself company.
Yeah, for its own selfishness in a way. But as we find out, it's not doing it for necessarily malicious purposes.
No.
But the effect of what it's doing has a malicious effect. It has a destructive effect on this family with Hannah and her dad, who are going through their own kind of grieving journey. And then we see it again with Graham played out. And this is where the Doctor does get a little bit hearty, but comes out with she's furniture with a pulse.
Yes.
Such a... that's a naughty line. That's a naughty line, that is. But it's... that's just the Doctor.
Well, it's a very serious...
she's trying to shock him out of it.
Yeah.
Even saying words that he just doesn't want to hear or that seem inappropriate. Just get out of this state, because you can't stay here like this. She's
and then
not your
the Solitract is trying to manipulate him. Don't leave me, not again.
But genuinely, because the Solitract doesn't want to be left alone.
No.
It? It's that. Like you said, it just wants companionship. But we don't know that.
At the point, no, we don't know it. But it's a sort of, I was going to say evil entity, but it's more innocent than that. It's not doing it
but
deliberately.
I think we suspect it's an evil entity, but it's not. It's neither good nor evil. It just is its own thing, and it just wants companionship. Imagine being a universe, having all of that. I mean, we're all, there's sort of abstract idea that we're all universes in ourselves. The universe only exists so that we can be in it. And if you're not there to perceive the universe, it doesn't exist. At least not for you, and stuff like that. And this is kind of like the distillation of that idea. A universe exists so that it can be the universe, but it can only ever be alone, right?
Yeah.
Because nothing else can live in that universe with it. It's a brilliant abstract metaphysical problem, and which I love. Again, it's those little layers, those narrative and storytelling layers that dip down.
Quick, I need to follow that up with something intelligent sounding. I really like how well it's lit here.
It's brilliant. It's nicely lit. It's wonderfully lit. But I've said before, this is probably my favourite story out of Series 11.
It's a great episode.
There is so much stuff in here that you can really crunch. For anybody who's away doing literature courses in university and stuff like that, you could literally do an entire dissertation on this one episode and everything that it kind of feeds off, and the themes it tackles, the human themes, the abstract kind of metaphysical stuff, the fairy tale, the folklore, even the literary themes that we talked about. So get on it, kids. And again, actually, symbolism.
Look, that lighting's really nice there.
We mentioned about triangles and spheres earlier. Triangles or pyramids are representations of spheres. The maths kind of matches up, right? So there's a theory that says the ancient Egyptians built pyramids because they couldn't build spheres. The pyramid was as close as they could get to it. So again, when you think of spheres as universes, triangles, and that whole kind of hierarchy of sort of God, humanity, or spirit, soul, body, whatever it is, that kind of thing. And then we get a frog. brilliant white void, which Doctor Who is great at. I mean, who wasn't blindsided by this? Who saw this coming? Nobody.
Well, no one.
Nobody saw this coming. And I gotta say, when I first saw this, I was like, what? I was like the 10th Doctor thing. What? Or 14th Doctor, whatever one he is anyway.
24.
But you know what? It works. You do have to sort of bend your mind, I think, if you're totally anti-animatronics and you're thinking that's a very dodgy looking frog, right? I get where you're coming from in this one, right?
But I'm not sure that was what everyone's issue was. I think it was just literally the concept of a frog on a chair.
But the concept itself is fine. You know, that's the thing. The bit I struggled with. Well, I don't know if I did struggle with it. Just trying to understand it, right? And you know, obviously there's the.
But look
the
what's going on now. The whole thing is gone a bit kind
freaky.
of weird now and a bit abstract. So
yeah, because the Doctor can't exist in this universe. The universe does not exist. So she's almost like the Solitrax in the Solitrax universe. Right? It's kind of a reversal. It's that mirror again with mirrors. We've got a lot of mirrors going on in this. You know, the Doctor has stepped in through the window into the Solitrax universe and cannot exist there. You know,
I hadn't thought about that. The reverse from the Solitrax point of view.
Yeah, so now the Doctor's the disruptive element in the Solitrax universe. So, you know, she doesn't want this thing not to be. It has to be its own thing. And you know, you could also look at this in some ways as a kind of foreshadowing of the Dr. Yaz relationship going onwards, right? Two people who want to be together, or two entities in this case, right? But they can't be together, right? The Doctor wants companionship, the Solitrax wants companionship. It's never going to happen, you know. It cannot happen, no matter how much they might want it to be. It's just never going to work. But they'll be best friends forever. Look at that. That's beautiful. But yeah, the frog thing. Do you know, it works. I get it, because you know, on the one level, Grace likes the frogs. It's a puppet, this little animatronic, and whether you like it or not. But you know, there's a lot of animatronics in Doctor Who. A lot of puppets throughout the whole history. Some have worked, some haven't. This one is purely on your own.
It's like we said before. You know, maybe we expect better in this day and age, but I think you have to kind of look past it and what it's trying to say.
Yeah.
But
you know, a CGI frog, what's the difference? Does it really matter? You know.
But it says there, I miss it all. I miss it so much. And the Doctor says we'll be best friends forever. I think that's lovely.
But again, that's fairy tale as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know, with the princess kissing the frog, all of that stuff. It's
all anyone wants is friendship and companionship. And you know,
Flaming
I think
rocks. Sorry, go on.
This is a show that has burping bins and farting aliens and, you know, all of that madness and stuff like that. So for me, the frog was quite abstract and quite out there, but it never bothered me. And I think it's a shame to not see what's going on there because you think it's crackers that there's a frog on a chair.
And that says more about us and how we perceive things, you know, what our expectations perhaps are. And that's something that as viewers we all have to deal with on our own terms, you know. And
bearing in mind how crazy Doctor Who can be sometimes, being a bit weirded out by a frog on a chair, it's not like it's a step too far. Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, if you can deal with a flying police box through time and space, that's bigger on the inside than outside, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, I think.
But
you're
suppose
but in a way, it's like, well, we know what a frog is. Yeah, you know, but it's the Solitrax idea of a frog from Grace's memories again. So maybe it doesn't get it quite right in the same way the Doctor doesn't get her social mores quite right. You know.
Yep.
So it's like again, you know, the Doctor and the Solitrax are almost in a way the same kind of
Yes, that's
being
quite
reversed.
Interesting. I hadn't thought about
almost
that.
Like I don't think they're quite two sides of the same coin, but they're two very identical coins that cannot exist in either's space. And actually, interestingly, you know, the Doctor can be quite a disruptive element in our universe as much as in somebody else's.
Yep.
As was, you know, evidenced by the Flux. You know, they built that just to destroy the Doctor.
Just to get rid of the Doctor, yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of recognised. But she's also a healer as well. So, you know, she's definitely, you know, through this whole adventure, this family's been healed. The Doctor has been a Doctor, has done what we heard in, was it with the 12th Doctor in the first, wasn't it? And Twice Upon a Time, the idea of the Doctor being a healer.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it, you know, it sort of depends on the other person's point of view. You know, the Doctor is a healer to many, but to, you know, the Daleks, for example, who don't think that they're doing anything wrong, the Doctor is an enemy, and you know, hence why all of them ganged up in the Pandora.
The oncoming storm. Yeah, which
that's how they, you know, because quite often the bad guys, you know, they are absolute in their conviction, aren't they? Look at Thanos, for example. He absolutely thinks that wiping out half of the universe.
Far without a Marvel reference. just concentrate in this moment here for a moment.
Right? This is lovely when they
Graham.
Grime
already. Graham and Ryan. And at the start of this, he didn't want to call him Grandad, did he?
No.
Ryan, he wasn't there. But I think now he gets where Graham's coming from and the attachment he had to his mum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Graham had to Ryan's mum, obviously.
Yes.
Ryan understands that it was real, and that it hurts for him as much as it does for Ryan. And
yeah.
Ryan is not the best at emotions, as we've seen. His handling of Hannah was one thing. And now he calls him Grandad, so he's kind of, Ryan's developing every story throughout the time he's with the Doctor. We see these little incremental movements, developments in his character. And I think he's great. I think he's a brilliant... I mean, all three of these are fantastic companions, and I absolutely miss them. I've got to be honest. Yeah,
I really like the development of their relationship, and, it forms a big chunk of Series 11, and, in Series 12...
TARDIS warps. I've just seen that in the subtitles. It warps.
Oh, is that what it says?
That's brilliant. Warp. That's what it always used to do in the comic strips, right?
Yeah, it does,
whoever's writing the subtitles for this knew that. Yeah. I love that. Well done, subtitle writer.
I was going to say that their arc doesn't have as much development in Series 12, perhaps, but what you have is them being, friends together and going on these
enjoying
adventures.
Their time together, isn't it?
So they've gone on the journey that they have in Series 11, and it's reached a resolution to it, and then it progresses after that. Point.
Yeah, I think I think you're right, actually, but I think Series 11 perhaps focuses a lot more on Graham and Ryan and their relationship, and particularly Graham's sort of journey in battling through grief, and Ryan's kind of getting back with his dad, sort of understanding that relationship and not having a parent, and then replacing, seeing Graham as his kind of parent, and then having his dad come in with all that history, and then coming to terms with that and resolving it. So when you see Ryan in Series 12, he's a much more mature person, and Graham, I think, is maybe played more for laughs in Series 12. His bit's kind of done, so he's kind of there. But it's really Yaz, I think, that the focus of
you're right. The focus has shifted a bit.
Because we see a lot about her, don't we? And again, I said in Can You Hear Me, we understand a bit more about where she's coming from, what she was going through as a teen. And, of course, then in Series 13, we have the development of the Dr. Yaz relationship, the culmination of that, which, we got some nice arcs through, some really lovely character development through these three people here, and for once it's like, and I've nothing against Rose Tyler and Donna and Martha to a degree, but for once these guys are not the most important part in the universe. They don't have to undergo a test to join the Doctor, right? There's no great massive stakes in who they are or what they do, and that's fine. We can have that from time to time with Bad Wolf and the Meta Crisis and all the rest of it. It's great for kind of ramping up and giving us some big stuff. But sometimes it's nice just to get involved in the human drama, and for Doctor Who to look at this, and whether it's only done once every, I don't know, 5 or 6, 10, 20 seasons. The fact that it's done it, and it's done it right here on the back of all the stuff, all the cataclysmic, universal, destructive stuff that we saw in towards the end of 11 and 12. We've got something which is much more intimate, and this is really why I really enjoyed Series 11, because it just focuses on the human problems. They're not universe crashing or anything at this point. It's just things that we all have to deal with.
And it's having adventures and focusing on that, and you can keep threatening the planet, threatening the universe. That scale and those stakes can only go so high. And it's not until Flux when we get arguably the ultimate one of the Flux wiping out the entire universe. Which
But again, that's Doctor Who, isn't it? It kind of rides that roller coaster. And
I'm not saying it's a bad thing at all. It's great, but we built up to it, and it's nice that these companions they're just like you and me, and
exactly they're just like you and me.
The universe isn't revolving around them. And it's not a bad thing to have that for
we don't have to pass a test. They didn't have to. I mean, they didn't want to be with the TARDIS. They thought they'd say goodbye to the Doctor at the end of The Woman Who Fell to Earth. So and she's just glad they're on board. She just wants companionship in the same way again that Solitrack did. So You know, it's a wonderful story. This I
Yeah.
absolutely love. It takes you away. I think there is so much to enjoy on so many levels, and I just can't watch this without thinking it's brilliant. You know, everything from the opening shots of Slarty Bartfast's Fjord to the frog on the chair at the end. I think it's just astonishing.
Yeah, it's a brilliant episode. So
10 out of 10, 20 out of 20, a million out of a million.
Let us know what you think of it.
17.5 out of 17.5. That's what I give it.
0.8. Right, on that note, thank you for listening and watching along, hopefully. And we'll be back on Who Corner to Corner podcast again very soon.
Very, very soon.
And we'll catch you then.
See you later. Don't be... is that a thing? Can people do that nowadays?
I don't know.
See you later, pals.
Be there or be square.
Be there or be square. I don't know.
I'm going to cut that.
Let's cut that, yeah. We don't need to use that.